So like it's the National Basketball Strength Coaches Association, I think, something like that. And then they basically it's only for strength coaches. So the head coaches are nobody else is there. So the venue is actually really small. They only allow 50 vendors in there because they want to keep it pretty tight and pretty small for the strength coaches. You know, like, I mean, we both have gone to like NSCA and CSCS and all. I don't know if you've gone to those clinics or nothing, but they can be like crazy overwhelming because everybody has a booth. There's like 200 booths and so much stuff, and it's super overwhelming. So,
did you say any other cool things there or people, whatever?
Yeah, I mean, I got a chance to connect with a lot of probably the only really. I mean, there was strength conditioning stuff there, but it was more metric based. Okay. Like I connected with somebody that was using like infrared. They're using a laser system to basically time groups of players at one time. So like if you had a group of players running them, it could time like up to 4 people at one time. So
for the strength?
Yeah, so like they're doing like the pro shuttle. You just put this little white block down and it would time them. So it made you be able to be more efficient. And I actually talked to that guy who's from Belgium, really nice guy, and he connected with me and said, you know, the metrics off both of these would be amazing. He goes, this is big overseas. Boxing is big overseas. It's all, you know, a lot of stuff, you know, Louis stuff. So he's always talking about how they box up overseas and all the data behind it. And he was like, you know, it would prove to Americans like this is why you box them. You know, it would help them understand their loss of information for plyometrics and stuff. Yeah. So yeah, it was good to connect with some guys, man. There was a lot of more metric based stuff, but yeah, it's also there's definitely some interesting things. I mean, I can't. Some of the stuff I couldn't even imagine, like how much it would cost to even build. I mean, there was like a squat. It's kind of like a squat bar with cables to it, and had a TV in front of it. I mean, I'm saying 20, 30 grand. And then
they got the money if it works, and they'll pay for that shit.
Yeah, I know.
But they won't have a reverse hyper though. They'll pay for that, but they won't have a reverse hyper. Oh, y'all motherfuckers with these back problems because you big and got a weak low back. Yeah, let's get the squat bar with the cables attached though.
Oh man, It was so weird. It was like governed by like I mean, it was a massive machine, bro. It was cool to watch work, but then here's the kicker: when you hear them explaining it and talking about it, because their booth was similar to mine. So like when I was constructing the Ronin, they had 2 people setting up adjacent to me, so I was listening to them talk, and they were coming over. We were just asking each other about his booths and stuff. But when you heard them talk about it, like you would never believe, like the founding process of it was accommodating resistance. So it was Louis.
Yeah.
I mean, that's how much that man, like, you know what I mean? And golf, anybody there talking about common resistance, they're like, have you ever squatted with chains? And I was like, yes.
Yes.
Hands are way better. I was like,
have you used bands before? Yes.
They were like, well, this can simulate accommodating resistance. And I was like, oh, so can it simulate like bands? And they were like, I was like, speed of the centuries, can it make you move faster? And they were like, so basically it was a big, huge apparatus, I think, to give the same effect of a chain. So you didn't have to set up the chains, I guess. I don't know.
That's a lot of money for that. Fuck that. Just buy some chains.
That's
way cooler anyway. It's cooler having chains anyway. Why would you pay $30,000? No.
I don't know. I mean, you've been doing this as long as I have. There's no sound like those chains banging, and the kids like it. You know what I mean? It doesn't matter whether they're grown men or kids. I mean, they all like it. They like the sound of it. They like the feel of it. I mean, I don't know. All kinds of stuff like that, where there was just like huge pieces of equipment, man. Like one was like 10 foot in diameter. I'm like, where are you going to put that? Like, I mean, my piece is a big piece, but you can put it up against the wall. I mean, you can move it wherever you want. And I'm like, what are you going to do with that? And it had like one handle, and just kind of pushed it around and moved it. And like, I don't know.
What?
Man. It was, I don't know. I mean, I couldn't imagine how much it costs. Something, I guess. I don't. It was like a movable D handle. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
But the machine itself was probably like the arm of the machine, man, was probably like 3 foot in diameter, and it was like.
Is it kind of like the Proteus?
I haven't seen anything like that, so I don't know. I mean,
okay. Because there's a thing called the. You said what?
I said you do West Side long enough, man. It's more like our conjugate system. If you do the conjugate system long, basics get it, man. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
It's kind of like they were telling me they're like, there's a lot of bright, flashy, shiny stuff here, man. Like, this is the basics that get you there. I'm like, yeah, and it's a metric, man. Like,
yeah,
there were so many people that like before me, like Ryan Flowery from Nike.
Mm-mm.
Used to be the performance director for Nike.
Okay.
Well, he had you ever read Underground Strength or Underground Secrets of Running Faster by Barry Ross?
I've skimmed over. I haven't read the whole thing because I've had people that send me snippets of it before. But I heard it's like one of the best ones to read on sprinting.
It is. It's 86. It's ridiculous. It's 86 pages and it's packed full of data. I've used a lot of the data for the box to talk to other organizations and stuff to make it make sense to them. But like Flaherty, I mean, he was a director of performance for Nike. He used the data from the weigh-in study from Peter Wayne, the Harvard guy, and basically he said, like, look, man, there's 2 ways to get fast: produce more ground force contact and produce in less amount of time. That's it.
Mm-hmm.
Like, if you do that, like, your money. So all he did, he actually enlightened me. When I reached out to him on LinkedIn, he said, have you checked out this study? And I said, because all he used was the hex deadlift. And I was like, So like when I asked Louis about that before, he was like, well, it's a center of mass bar. He goes, it kind of makes sense. And he said, that was the big thing with Bolt when Bolt was getting hurt all the time is they had to strengthen him. Bolt really didn't like to lift weights, but he had to get stronger because his body was kind of out of whack with the center of mass. And then once they connected those two and he started introducing plyometrics, like, box jumping and bounds and stuff like that, that's when he really started to take off. But yeah, man, like it was, it was kind of different. Like he created a metric, like it made sense too. Cause he showed me the study and like, he said, well, look, the barbells and watts were producing, what was it? Like max after squat and deadlift only produced like 1,100 watts. Like when they were getting measured power wise for one rep.
Right.
Okay. So like power wise, it makes sense. It doesn't produce a lot of power. It produces a lot of force.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? As the bar slows,
you have to produce more force.
Yeah. Force grows. So it wasn't going to produce a ton of power, but then the other studies said, well, just like Burlington and all the stuff that we talked about for the last 4 years, when you took it to 75 to 85%, well, then the power grew. Right. Yeah. So this guy named Garhammer did this study. And that's why a lot of like the D1 coaches use Olympic weightlifting, because when it came out, the study was, there was an Olympic weightlifter, right? That were tested, not like normal college kids.
Right.
These guys were, they were very efficient to lift. So like on the second pull, they produced like 4,800 watts. So that's why they started doing it. Well, then, Flaherty introduced another study to me and said, look at this. Well, the hex deadlift at the same percentages outperformed all of it. And then he had a correlation from a force meter on a treadmill, and he had measured like supposedly 6,500 athletes on those force treadmills. And then he took that data and correlated it against the squat, didn't correlate. Correlated it against Olympic lifts, didn't correlate. He correlated it against the deadlift and against the hex deadlift specifically, and it correlated perfectly. So all he did was push the hex deadlift up and box jump, and then send them on their way, and they did sport specific drills after that.
Did they ever do that with the sumo deadlift? Because I wonder, like, what's the comparison with the sumo deadlift?
Right. I know. That's what I said, because Louis preached it right and left, because he said, he always said guys would come in and they would outperform him and some of the studs there on the hex, but then they were 100 pounds above them on sumo.
Yeah.
And I asked him about that, and he said, I think it transfers to maybe athletics better. He said, but I don't, he said, I don't know. He said, that's an interesting study to kind of look at. He said, but I mean, in true conjugate form, like, why would you not do both then? You know what I mean?
Just
like,
do both. Yeah.
I
see the benefit from both, especially like you're gonna get more hip and quad, which is gonna affect their shorter sprints and their vertical. But then if they're doing change of direction in a non-track related sport, the force reduction laterally is going to be more obviously in the sumo dead. Yeah, you should just do both. Like, it's just great. You saw that this produced a lot of force. Great, use that and then use that. Like, then you make a well-rounded athlete.
That's it. Well, the key was Flaherty, supposedly, this is what I'd heard from talking to other people, was I guess when he was training guys, like the rumor was he was charging like 20 grand for 6 weeks.
20 grand? What the fuck? 6 weeks? What's that, 1,000 an hour or something? Shit.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know if that's true. I don't know if it's true or not, but I have no clue. I mean, that was just rumor mill stuff, because I was like, well, damn, but it was all based off the stuff that Louis had been saying for years. You know what I mean? Like that you didn't need to run. You didn't have to run. All you had to do is produce more force. You had to do sumo or a deadlift, and you had to box jump. If you did those two things, like, that was it. Now Flaherty would do those two things, and then he would do some like specific things to kind of correct imbalances that he saw, like Bagus knees and stuff like that. He'd do some things for the hips and some other stuff. But yeah, he was taking, 12 athletes every 6 weeks and running that mill like that. I mean, when that's your job and you work for Nike, pretty much, I guess you can do whatever you want. But I mean, all those guys, man, like Simmons and Flaherty and Charles Poliquin and Charlie Francis, like all those guys, like faster times and higher verticals got cracked a long time ago. I was like, if you ever ever had the time to go to Westside or to talk to him, and he would tell you, like, I don't want to do these guys. He's like, the code, like, I cracked that code a long time ago. This is so super easy. They just don't want to realize it's that easy, and they need some bright, shiny, sparkly thing that's going to do it, and it's not going to do it.
Especially at that level, all you're doing is taking the top guy and adding 1-2% to their already greatness. Like, it's almost always, because they're usually not in an environment that emphasizes strength. You add strength in it, it's like, oh wow, their back hurts, or their hips are weak. Wow, all I do is address it instead of ignoring it, like you guys do, and they get better.
Yeah. All these overuse injuries, man. I was explaining all of it to them. I was like, look, like, all this stuff goes away, man. They're on the ground less. And I was like, it doesn't matter what distance it is, like, they're gonna get faster. I was like, Peter Wayne proved it. He proved it. And another, in that same book, another study was it was a Swedish scientist. She actually works for the Swedish Olympics, long distance, I think, portion of their IOC. But she was a scientist, and she did a study, and she reduced running times by 35%. So that she reduced the workouts by 35%. All she did
sounds familiar.
All she did, yeah, right. All she did was increase the explosive power workouts, right? So she supplemented the loss of training with explosive power, and all the times dropped. Every time dropped, and they did it without raising VO2 max or lactate threshold.
There you go.
So, in the US, those two things are like God in long.
Yeah, they want to be on the treadmill with the fucking Bane mask on and shit for hours on it. VO2. Still slow as hell.
And it doesn't do anything, man. Like, it just looks good when somebody walks in, but at the end of the day, it's as simple as, I mean, all those guys, Poliquin, Simmons, Francis, they've all said deadlift, box jump. And then go work on your skills. Like, go play your sport. Like, you don't need, not every athlete is, aspiring to be massive and huge and have to gain weight. Like, you take a baseball player, man, like, Well, I'll tell you what, I got a basketball player right now that, I mean, if you're following us well, you are following us on Instagram, but he's that 5'8" kid. You might see me post on. He's 5'8", and his business is Sky Athletics. He's like a professional dunker and stuff. And you know, he was my first customer because he had like the most viral box jump accident on the internet. It was like 2 million views or something, man. He was going up. Yeah, he was going up for like a 55, 60-inch box jump, and the box kicked out on him.
He went
fell
backwards?
on his head. Yeah, he went backwards, fell on his head, like right on the corner, knocked himself unconscious. It was crazy. I'm sure he, like a couple inches off, it'd have been a mess. And so when he first saw the box, like he was all over it. And but since then he's taken it, and broken his inhibitions of box jumping. And now he's jumping over where it hurt him easy. I mean, he's smoking it. And this is just for instance with weight. Like when we first started helping each other, like we were kind of just collaborating on like his program, and I was like, well, I would do this, I would do that. So he starts adding things in, and he's like, this is really close. This is conjugation, man. Like you just got to work on your weaknesses. The holes that I see are this, and that. Like this is what I would fill the holes with. Right. You got to kind of imagine like it's a kinetic funnel, and guys like me and other guys that can see where you're leaking out of, like we plug those holes with this and that and this and that. Like you're saying, like lower back, and like most athletes right now, like horrific lower backs. So like he took first day, it's like a 350 hex, and he just recently tested I think last week. I said, like, he said, do you want to peek out for it? I said, no, man, we don't have to. You don't have to. We're not going to run like a strength phase or a circumax at you. Like, let's just see what you're at. Let's just see where you're at, and we'll just test it and see. Make sure progress is progress. Well, like I said, January 22nd. So like his force production went to the roof, right?
Hold on. You went out. You went in and out for a second. Repeat what you just said. You said since January, that's where it stopped off.
Yeah. So like January 22nd is kind of when I started giving him input, like ideas for his training, and we were just collaborating. We just, I'm not ordering around or anything like that. I'd say I would increase with this. I would do this, and I would push that. And, let's test this hex theory out and see if it works. And sure enough, it does work. Like it really does. I think that's valuable information to, a lot of the high schools and, people that don't have a lot of equipment. You know what I mean? Like you got a mom or a dad that has a son that lives in the middle of nowhere in Arkansas, like, and there's no gyms for 2 hours. Well, you got some plates, you got a hex bar, you got a Ronin, man, like you're set. That's all you need. Like, could it be better? Well, yeah, it could be better. I mean, like they could train with you. You know what I mean? Like, of course it could be better. But if that's not what you have, and you have this miraculous athlete that just needs to be pushed, like that might be all you need. So when I retested last week, he went from 350 to 600 in the hex in 3.5 months. Yeah, and he only weighs the guy weighs $185. He's 5'8" and can jump to the roof. I mean, he can jump and do windmill dunks, and the kid will literally stop a gym because he's so short.
Yeah.
I mean, he's like Muggsy Bogues, you don't see too many of those in a lifetime. But here's the kicker. He didn't play sports in high school. He didn't play basketball. It's everything that Westside Conjugation's ever said. Like, it's just straight explosive power.
Yeah.
Like, his box jump went up. And I told the NBA coaches this over and over again, because I said, look, Simmons, Poliquin, Francis, all these strength coaches, like when I talk to them, I was like, I'm not scared to talk to anybody. If they'll talk to me on the phone, I'll talk to them. I don't care. And I said, the thing is, Chris Bernard at Overtime Athletes. Have you heard of him?
Yeah, I know him. Yeah.
Down in Florida. I mean, he does some top-notch stuff with Russian stuff. And I asked all of them the same thing. they all said the same thing that Lou said was it's a 2-to-1 ratio. So if you get 12 inches in the box jump, you're going to get
you'll get 6 inches. Yeah, I remember him saying that, and I've done that because we have the vert mat. So I've seen kids that have gone up 6 and they've gotten 3 inches on the vertical. They've gone 12 and they got 6, and I was like, yeah, that's big, because if you don't have access to the Vertec or the vert mat, you can know that generally based on this amount of box jump, okay, then that means this is about how my vertical is, and
exactly.
and that's huge, because it's always like, well, how high, and people will try to be, hey, get back, you bend your knees. I'm like, okay, well, go jump on a 60-inch box, since you could just bend your knees. And it's like, and then they'll be like, it's just a hip mobility. Just I said, isn't that actually important then? Because I said my kids that can't get on the box, we will do extra hip mobility work. Like, oh, that's something I need to pay attention to. Like, if you can't get your leg around, like especially the tall kids that should have the advantage. Oh, but my hip mobility is the lift. Well, that's great. If they're jumping high and their hips are flexible and strong, well, I'm not going to have the labrum tears. I'm not going to have the hip replacements. That's important. So how is that? Like, people use that as like I'm a shit on a box jump comment. I'm like, I feel like you're just giving me an easy, if you know what you're doing, to say, well, no, that's actually just makes it a 2-for-1 situation. Like,
yeah. And let me go back to what you said, because like what I was telling the NBA coaches was that is a powerful tool for you guys, because now you've provided a metric. And this was what Ryan Flatter was saying. He came up with what's called a force number. So you take your hex deadlift divided by your body weight. And he had done all those experiments on those 6,500 athletes, and all athletes had a force number that they could create on that treadmill. Usain Bolt had the highest force number ever registered at 3.9. Now, that doesn't mean, he was a big dude. He's like 220. It doesn't mean he can deadlift, what was it, 820, I think, or 860 when I did the math. It just means he can genetically produce that much force in the ground. Right. But what Flaherty was saying was, that would give you a metric along with the box jump that you could maintain in season. He said, that's where I make my money, is these guys never get slower and they never jump less. He's like, right. He could run pendulum waves, 75, 80, 85 at their max numbers on boxes and maintain their height. So they were never jumping less. So when they got out of season, they came right back into where they were and started excelling. You know what I mean? Same way that you can do with max effort work. Like, Lou had said for teams, man, like I was lucky enough to be a pretty successful coach myself, but that was got weaker in season. We just switched to dynamic work. We dropped the max effort work, switched to dynamic work, and I put explosive power work in. And we rotated bars all the time, and I pushed the jumps up. And without a doubt, we would be stronger at the end of the season than we were at the beginning. And when I remaxed my kids a week later, they're like, Coach, I put 50 pounds in my squat. Yeah. So
now, when you do the hex bar deadlift, what are you doing this after the guy that you were talking about, Flowery and the other guy, were they replacing their normal deadlift, or would they do this like instead of squats as well, like maybe to take the load off during the season? Like, and what's the sets and reps and stuff like that? Because with the trap bars, it's a little bit of a pain in the ass to try to put bands on the bar. Is it like 75, 85% straight weight, or would it be 50 plus 25 or something like that? Like, how would it work?
He did. My knowledge, it was straight weight, and he kept the weights at him and Barry Ross, the guy that wrote that book, Underground Strength, the Running Faster. They kept the weights at strength speed levels. So 85 to 95.
Right.
And basically they used Prolipin's chart. So they would do 2 to 3 sets of
1 to 3 reps, like something.
Three. Yeah. Like 1 to 3 reps, or like 3 to 6 reps, depending on what the percentage was. But super low volume. So recovery was optimal. So they would all they were doing, like Barry Ross did it with Allison Felix. He pushed up her hex or pushed up her deadlift. I'm not sure he hexed. I think he might have sumoed. And I think he just pushed up the deadlift, and that was it. Like, he pushed up the deadlift, pushed up the box jumps. That was it. Like he was increasing force, and then with the box jump, he was creating rapid force development. So
I think too with the kids are at least what I deal with more, high school and college, they can usually use more weight in their deadlift. So I know they're probably producing more force. And also, if you have good technique, I feel like with the deadlift, it's actually less dangerous, at least to me, than kids when they squat. I feel like kids mess up the squat for a long time. So if you're in season, you can have a less injury risk, load more weight. Why not do it? And that's why you said when they looked at force production, it was even more than the squat. And I think that's just because you can load more weight in a better position. And you can make that hex deadlift kind of move quicker than you can even a regular deadlift, so you can use heavy weight but move it fast.
Yeah, and one thing that I found was they were doing it twice a week. So they were doing they were doing like a strength speed day and then a dynamic day where they dropped their percentages down to dynamic level. So 75, 80, 85. And it was just straight weight. And then they would go do jumps and then they would go do their sport. And that's what when I started really breaking it down when I'd been in the box was like, man, that's it. One thing that Ryan Flatter was saying was like, that registered a lot with me because I kind of used it and I didn't realize I was. When I owned my gym, my athletes, and I was saying, well, if I drop the max effort, I keep him 2 days a week and I supplement it with dynamic, like Lou said, and I keep his box jumps up, or I even try to increase him. Like I try to chase it and try to go even more. Then I'll know exactly what this football player's 40 time will be. And that was the force number that Ryan Flowery was talking about, the guy from Nike, was if you have the force number, like screw like knowing all these other metrics. Like if you want to know them, like that's fine. But like that basketball kid I was telling you about, like when he went from 350 to 600, his force number grew from like 2.7 to right now it's 3.3. You got to figure Usain Bolt has the highest one ever registered at 3.9. And that kid that's 5'8" has like a 46-inch vertical right now. So it's holding true. You know what I mean? Like his as his power increases and his box jump keeps increasing with it, he's creating more force and he can create it more rapidly. And it gives all of us as strength coaches a metric. So if we know the force number stays at 3.3 and we got a college linebacker, like, I had a kid, the training was subpar, and I said, well, at least if you do this, like this minimum, like we just do dynamic work, we just do explosive work, we're going to maintain where you left my gym at. And that's the most important part, buddy. You know what I mean? Like he was like, okay. So it gave him a metric because I kept saying, like, if we keep your force number at this, well, then I know your 40 time is this. I know
where can I get that for like the calculation of the force number thing and like what you were saying? Where can I get that?
It's you can find it anywhere. It's deadlift. It's just minus your body weight, or not minus, but divided.
Deadlift divided by your body weight.
Yeah, and if you read further into Flattery's research, it will give you, like, he had it measured out by force number, like what athlete you're dealing with, because he measured 6,500 different athletes. So he found, and I know these off the top of my head because I've done it for so long, but and just kept bumping into it over and over again. And then when I read that book that Louis gave me, it was like, oh shit, like these things connect. Like these things correlate. It's the same thing Barry Ross was saying. It's the same thing Louis was saying. It's the same thing Charles Park was saying. Like all these dudes, like they knew it. It was a metric. And
I gotta buy that damn book.
It's an awesome.
I keep forgetting about it.
You'll read it in a day. But Floudery's not in that book. I bumped into Floudery researching more of Barry Ross's stuff, and then I bumped into Floudery and was like, you got to be kidding me. This guy's doing the same thing that Barry Ross was doing. and he was saying the same stuff. And I was like, about like Wayne's research, Peter Wayne's research, and like Pavolino's research and stuff like that. And I'm like, because Ryan Flaherty used the deadlift and the box jumps on somebody that won the Boston Marathon. He proved like the distance
even
stuff.
The long distance is just fine too. Yeah.
Force is force, brother. Ground force contact is ground force contact. And as long as you're producing it minimum amount of time, it doesn't matter. Like whatever distance it was, you're going to get faster.
where are you at? Like when Louis and I've been trying to take this because like we implemented this system where we do an unlimited package with our athletes right now. So a lot of my college kids are coming like on a 5th day, and I've been doing like mobility and more of their conditioning stuff on that day instead of trying to pack it in. Now you know how Louis talks about you can minimize ground contact time working with sleds and picking weights and then having time for them to beat. Where do you think that is on the scale of like, okay, well, your deadlift and the box jump, like, would you still be like, that's of importance too? That's okay, we're going to take, especially for that long distance runner. Like, you know, when he talks about like, oh, we have an ATP marching time, we have sled like that too. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah, no, me, like I'm gonna turn over every stone I can, man. So like if I had kids in short amount of time, and you know, like, I mean, I know we had a linebacker come in. He was free agent, got cut. And I had another free agent that got cut and then got signed because he got faster. And I was kind of like, he and they both were talking. He's like, hey, man, go see Pence. Like, he could probably help you. This kid walked in. I was like, good Lord almighty, you got cut? I mean, this kid was massive. But he was in between. He was in between in his defense in college. I won't say the college, but he was kind of in between a linebacker and a defensive end. He was too small to be a DN, but he's too big to be a linebacker. So he's like a 3-4 kid. And he said, I need to pack on a little bit of size, but I need to get a little bit faster if I'm gonna play linebacker. And I said, okay. So I said, how much do I got you? He goes, I can get the call any day now. So I did the same thing, man. I pushed his deadlift up. I pushed his box jump up. 4 weeks later, he gets time. He goes from like a 4.7 to a 4.4. I know he's smoking it, right? And I think he went from like a 32 to like a 38-inch vertical. And he got signed. He called me. He's like, dude, they signed me. I was like, what were your times? And he's like, you really have no clue. I said, no, I know we increase your power, man. Like the sprints are going to be there. And because he was like, when are we going to run? When are we going to run? I said, for what, man? You know how to run. Like you can't. We got to produce more force, buddy. And we sled dragged, and we sled dragged. He was sled dragging he was only going for about 40 yards.
Right.
Because I was trying to make it as specific as I could. I know Lou says go for 60. And where I was training at the time, we didn't have that amount of distance. So we were just going pure acceleration. Like, I mean, that's the 40 anyway. There's no deceleration before. It shouldn't be anyway.
Right.
It's pure acceleration. So I strapped his body weight to it, made sure we fit the perimeter of the times, like 20 to 25 seconds is what Lee would say. And I followed that to a T. And like the first day we power walked with it. That's what a lot of people don't realize is like Westside was that those times are based off power walking, not sprinting. Right. So you have to teach an athlete how to power walk and get past the awkward of, and this is awkward as hell, yo. But once we got it, like he was in between that 20, 25 second range with his about 10 or 20 pounds less than his body weight. He broke 25. And I said, well, we got to get that up, buddy. We got to produce more force in the ground. He's like, man, it's just kind of awkward. Everything that goes against sprinting, you got to reach out far. You got to pull through your hamstrings, pull through your hips. You got to move. So by like week 2, I mean, this is a D1 like God. You know what I mean? Like this kid, when I say strapped together, like he had muscles on top of muscles that had muscles, and those muscles had cousins. And I was like, God knows, son, you are built. And he was like, man, this is just I ain't never done this kind of training before. He's like, I'm used to being in here for like 2 hours. Like, we're done in 45 minutes. I'm like, yeah, man, there's no point in staying in that. I said, you come back later, we work on some weakness stuff. That's it, man. So, I mean, we were going 2 times a day, 4 times a week. So he's getting 4 major workouts and 4 minors. And I said, so he'd come back in, he'd sled drag. He's like, man, this is like, I'm not even sore or like tired or like nothing. I'm like, no, Bo, you don't have to. And I was like, I'll show you on week 2. And we saw the increase on his vertical. Like he had gone up, I think like 4 inches on his box jump. We got 2 inches on vertical. I said, there you go, buddy. I said, now I guarantee we probably took a 10th off your 40. He's like, can we go run it? I said, sure. So week 2, we went ran it. And we dropped 2 tenths. After that, he was sold. He's like, I'll do whatever you say. I was like, well, buddy, we just got to keep doing what we're doing. He's like, can I do more? Do more? I said, there's no point. You're doing everything you need to do. You are fully taken care of. So yeah, I mean, when we got to that third week, by the second week, he was power walking 40 yards. And again, all I did was like for the 40 yards, like all I did was subtract the time because 60 yards was 20, 25 seconds, not 40. So like I figured if I cut it down to like 10 to 15 or 10 to 20, I think it was like 10 or 15 to 20 seconds. I could be around there that we would be right in the money. And sure enough, like he got to his body weight, smoked that. I mean, he was clearing his body weight in 40 yards in like 11 seconds. And then we just kept adding weight on until he couldn't, until he's reached like that 15, 20 seconds. And again, like I started, this is probably 10 years ago. So, and we just kept pushing it. So like that fourth or fifth week, I mean, he's over his body weight, like 40, 50 pounds and smoking his times. And like he was jumping out of the roof then. Like he was even scaring me. I was like, my God. So we were doing like a one step or two step approach, and he had hit well over 63, 64. And his kid's 260, 270.
Yeah, that's a big boy.
I mean, I'm telling you, like getting it off of one step. And his seated box, I'm trying to think of something impressive. Like when we were doing I know his like second or third week of max effort on box on the Ronin, we were right around like 75, 80, 85% of his one rep. So of 60 some odd inches or whatever it was, so we'll say like 30, 40 inches. But I know he'd done like 40 inches with like 70-pound dumbbells in his hands for 40 reps. I mean, so like, yeah, like all three of those things combined, that's what I keep trying to tell people is like, that's all you need.
Yeah.
I mean, you can waste your time doing all the other stuff, but I think too many people try to make what we do SPP and not GPP.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And it's like, that's not our job, man. Like that's X's and O's stuff. Like we deal with the Jimmies and Joes. We got to get them guys, we got to make their bodies like freakishly explosive, freakishly strong, produce a lot of force and produce it quick. I think that's the biggest key that, after Louis' death, I hope people like understand is like, he tried so hard to tell people that strength is measured in velocity, not weight. And I played with guys in college that were like that were all Americans, man. And, I was an All-American too, but like, I mean, one guy I remember like weak as water, dude. I mean, he was an offensive lineman. It was a big deal when he squatted 300 pounds. He only benched like 245.
I got a kid that's 140 that does like 340. I get 300 pounds.
That's what I'm saying. But imagine this. Though. This guy was on the defending national championship team. I won't say who.
Shit.
And he only squatted like 315 or something. Like they were all happy when he did. Our strength coach was garbage. And I was like, what the hell, But he was 6'7". Now, when you did his vertical, that's where genetics took over. The kid had on like a 38-inch vertical.
Oh, wow. So he was still fast and could jump high?
Super fast and super explosive. Now,
and they'll be like, look, see, it's because of our training.
Yeah, exactly. Everybody else is getting weaker. It's like, what? Man, you deal with those genetic guys. That same everybody was sitting around bullshit and said, man, what? He goes, y'all can sit in here and play tiddlywinks. Every day we come in and lift weights, and on Saturday, you're going to do what God puts you here to do.
Yeah.
And we were like, damn, that's like smacking your system like in the face. But, I mean, I would say people were the strongest people that were there were going to a local gym and they were training there. The guys that were going to the NFL and stuff, like they would go do his hodgepodge crap and then they'd go to somebody that knew conjugate and they were doing all this stuff, man. It was all conjugate. So
with basketball, it's different. I think conjugate is tapped into a lot more football, and I think baseball. I think also because there's a lot more strength coaches that like their background, they played that sport too. The hardest thing with basketball, I don't think there's been a lot of great former athletes that have been like, oh, I want to be a strength coach now that I play basketball. And when I go in, because it's always like you're always going to reach more into the sport that the parent, the kid, or the coach is going to be like, oh, you played, so you know what you're doing. Like with basketball, they just blindly believe whatever I say. And I'm like, I could be terrible. But it's like baseball. They're like, whoa, you didn't play? You must not know about our shoulder and our Tommy John. And I'm like, you have Tommy John because if I make you do Williams extension, you only can use 10 pounds. That's why you got fucking Tommy John. And you're throwing 50,000 times a day. That's why. Like, I don't need to play. Like, I have a swimmer. I barely can fucking swim. He gets faster. It's simple. We bench squat, we deadlift. I don't know. I don't fucking know about swimming. I go to that meet. I'm like, I don't know what I'm watching, but he breaks a fucking PR. Like it's just crazy. Like when why it's like that, you know.
when I owned the gym, I would take the parents and they'd be like, "How are you doing what you're doing?" I said, and I'd draw the bell curve and I'd say, "This is the force velocity." Most people only train this one. We train all of them at the same time. And they're like,
right.
Oh, I'm like, yeah, we don't increase one speed. We increase all three. And they're like, oh, and I said, yeah, we don't leave any stone unturned, man. Like, that's it. I said, we put a lot of stock on our jumps. Like, the minute I could get a kid to 3 jumps 40 times a week, I did it. I mean, like, conjugate, like Lou always say, like, that was for the elite. Like, I did it to elite high school kids, man. I had a kid played for Clemson, baseball player, and he was so athletic by the time he got there. His name was Sam Hall. He could play any position they put him in. And you know as well as I do in college, like kids can't do that. That kid was so freaky, but he was a freak. I mean, just 60-inch box jumper in high school, you know, like absolute freak, but you could play him anywhere because he was so fast and so athletic. And it's funny, like, you know, that force velocity curve doesn't lie, man. You gotta, in order to produce the most force, you gotta be using something that's going to slow you down. You know, as velocity slows, force grows. So that's kind of the way it goes, man. That's why I'm not, you know, I love Olympic weightlifting. I do, but it's not going to produce enough force.
And our kids don't start. They don't start early enough to be so technically proficient that they can actually lift enough weight. Like I tell kids all the time, like there's kids out come into our gym and they'll power clean at school sometimes 200 something pounds, like 200, 300 pounds. I can maybe power clean 220, maybe if you get me to, but I'll still out jump them and I'm retired. Why? My squat and deadlift is much higher than this. Like you're working on something that like you're barely getting it up. You're not getting into triple extension, which is the whole point of the movement. And if anything, you're just making your patella hurt. Like,
No, I mean, we deal with it all the time, man. I'm dealing with it right now. I had again, I won't say who because I'm retired. I sold my gym, you know, and I retired from it, and I loved my 20 years of doing it. I loved helping kids and loved helping people, and you know, put a lot of my stock in the Ronin and just trying to help others realize like that box, doing everything that I didn't make this up. Like these great strength coaches that were geniuses, way smarter than me. They figured it out. All I tried to do was make it safe for everybody, and then try to teach people like, look, man, like this. I know like this is totally different, and this stuff doesn't exist. Like you've never been able to jump on a box and grab the handles to spot yourself instead of jumping on some unstable piece of crap, you know, that's shaking all over the place or kicks out on you. Like, so when they jump on, like every NBA coach got up on it was like, oh God, like this is genius. Like I get it. I'm like, yeah, like if I put you up there and I would push him forward and said, don't let me push you forward. I said, everybody's always worried about the stuff in the back. I said, grab the handles, let me push you forward. And push him forward. I said, don't let me push you forward. And they'd stop me. I said, no, don't let me pull you back. And they go forward, backwards, forward, backwards, forward, backwards. And they go, you're not going to move, are you? I said, no, you can make the jump at any height and grab the handles and spot yourself. And I invented my own spotting technique that I got to release here online. But, you know, in 14 years of having that box and using it on my athletes, we 0 injuries. None. Ever. And our facility, we had a 30,000 square foot facility. Like we were dealing with hundreds of athletes a day. Like, and I never turned anybody away, from elementary school kids to pro NFL guys. Like I trained Derek Brunson for almost a decade, the number 2 middleweight in the world in the UFC. Like he would work out right with a soccer mom. It didn't matter, man. Like in the box, like I said, the box is adjustable, so they could be sitting there bullshitting, adjusting the box back and forth, talking about the kids and everything else. It didn't matter. Like it was all so nonchalant, man. And they were like,
and you got the shin protection. That's nice, and the head pad too. Bam, bam. Yo, you're good.
No, it's actually tighten. The pad, the back pad in the back is actually for something else to grab a hold of.
Oh, it is? Really?
Yeah. I mean, they put it on there as something as like, well, to like protect somebody's head, but it really isn't. Yeah. Like if you want to jump, like if you have somebody that's tall, a lot of times they'll reach forward and not sideways. So they have an option. They have an option forward and an option sideways with the handles to grab hold of something.
Okay.
So yeah, like I know the garage gym review guy, like that was one thing that he said, and I was like, oh God. But no,
he bought it. That famous dude that doesn't look like he lifts, but he did a review on it.
Yeah, he did a review on it. I'm glad you said that. But yeah, yeah. I mean, he did an okay job with the review. I mean, it was okay, and he was the first review. But you said it like he's not a lot of lifting experience, and like the fact that
he did that with the reverse hyper too.
Oh,
and I was like, I can tell you don't know how to even use it. I'm like, he's like, I don't see the use of space for this machine. I'm like, your back looks like you deadlift 300 pounds. I think you need to use that damn machine. What the fuck?
Yeah. Oh man. No. What did he do? I mean, he tells me he likes it. He just doesn't really know what to do with it. You know what I mean? So like, I'm trying to create a living document that I'm going to release hopefully in the next few weeks. I put like literally there'll be like over 100,000 variations of box jumping on there. Power metric box jumping, not plyometric, power metric. From the hips, triple extension, all of it. And I'm just putting out there as like a bit link, and I'm just say download it for free. Like I'm not doing an ebook, I'm not doing that crap. Like I just want people to have the information so they realize like can you do it with pads? Sure. You're going to keep risking your athletes doing it though, because they're going to want to go higher.
Yeah.
With my machine, they can go higher. Like they can.
And you don't need a bunch of spotters. That's the thing. Like my kids that can jump high, we got to have like 4 people, and don't let it be a big ass kid. And it's like, fuck, where are the other big people in the gym? Come and spot my kid real quick. I'm not catching no 300 motherfuckers going forward on me.
Right? You got to hold the damn pads down. I mean, I know, man. I get them every day. Like I was saying earlier, my kid, I had a kid come to me 2 years ago. Came from he came from a high school, and it was just like a typical high school. Man. They did the best they could with what they had, which wasn't a lot. Yeah. And he was a big kid. He was like 250, 260, and he met my stepdaughter, and he's like, "Dude, I Googled you." I said, "What?" I was like, I Googled you. I said, "What did you find?" And he goes, You're a 3-time All-American?" I said, "Yeah." And he said, "You used to own a gym?" I said, "Yeah." He said, "You train these people?" I said, "Yeah." He goes, why don't you?" I said, "I left in my garage. I just want to be left alone." And he was like, "Will you help me?" I was like, damn. And you get that as a strength coach, man. When you know conjugate, it's like, I know I can help this kid. I said, "What do you want?" I said, "What do you want to do, man?" He said, "I want to walk on at the college he's playing for now." I said, "Cool, man. Let's check your numbers. They were atrocious." He's like 250, 260, and like benching like maybe 300, and like squatting like a little bit more, like maybe 330 deadlift. I had to use his hex deadlift because I didn't have much time with him. I only had like 5 months with him, and I used his hex, and then we intro the sumo when I could teach him how to chair deadlifts. But his deadlift form was so bad, I was like, we're just going to stick with the hex for a little bit, push that up, and get your vert up a little bit. So fast forward 5 months later, he's benching 405. He squatted, I think 500, parallel box squat of 500 pounds. And he deadlifted, sumo deadlifted. He was in hex bar, he was well in the 650 range. And then sumo deadlift, he hit 560. Shit. So box jump went up substantially. I mean, I think we gained like 12, 13 inches on his box jump. So he went from a 6'7" 40 to a 5'1". So
yeah, that's
when
a big
he walked
difference.
when he walked in, there was like a note. The center there at the time, he was a center / guard. He got drafted to the Falcons. He was one of my kids that was already there, and I called him up and said, "Hey, man, I got this kid. I was like, I may need to talk to your line coach because I think he can make it. Like at least as a walk on." I was like, Jimmy and Joe stuff. He's probably real raw technique wise. I said, but he definitely has the power. I said, he's just as strong as you are. And he was like, "You're kidding me." And I was like, because my center was the strongest kid on the team. And I said, "No, he's just as strong as you are." So he went there, he made it, and doing great, and was doing phenomenal. But then same thing. 2 years later, he finally gets a chance to come back, and he's like, "Hey man, will you care if I lift in the garage?" I said, "Of course, man." Test him out, and I said, "Well, let's get some numbers so we can run some dynamic waves at you. You're only here for 4 weeks, Let's run the dynamic wave at you, or let's figure out where we need to increase, dynamic explosive power, speed, strength, strength, speed, what we got to work on here." And retest, he had lost almost 100 pounds off his squat. He lost 50 pounds off his bench, lost 130 off his deadlift. I'm like,
what do y'all do at school every time? It's always like
what do you like? And I anybody, man. I always, I take a chapter out of what Lou used to tell me, like, just don't criticize, man, analyze, and just be like, what are they not doing? And that's the biggest thing I'd see was like, I would see the program and I'd be like, and if they would just like, they're onto it, like if they would just change the percentages a little bit differently, here and there, and then like do some box jumping, man. Like, and I reached out to the coach early.
Jumping. I don't think there's too many coaches that don't know how important jumping is. Like, I feel like man. Jumping alone will make them faster. And in my opinion too, because they're getting faster, they'll move bars faster too. Like, if you're not jumping, you're missing. Like, they think because they jump in this sport sub-maximally, but like really sub-maximally because they're in the fatigue. It's like, well, they don't need to jump in the weight room. Like, no, they need to like push jumps at least once in a while. And that's the only time they're going to do that, weight room. And then, they're doing 4 sets of 10 with 30% on a squat instead of using 75, 85 with 75, trying to move that at 0.6, 0.7. Like, the percentages, the reps. And then, sometimes there's like doing like 20 exercises in a workout, like just too much stuff.
Yeah.
Like,
too much. And it was the same thing, man. I just kept trying to preach to them like it's a 2-to-1 ratio, man. And I would get some of them to get the box, and they'd be like, and then once they get it, they're like, "Shit, you were right. Like, we're getting every 2 inches in the box, we're getting an inch in vertical." I'm like, "And what are you getting on the 40? Like, what is your pro shuttle dropping to? Like, you're a tenth of a 40 is 6 inches, man. That's it." I was like, so if you're increasing power and they're on the ground less, like this is simple physics, man. You just have to be able to listen to these guys. And like I said, the code got cracked 4 years ago. I didn't do it. These great geniuses of men did it, man. And I just listened to them, applied it, and was like, shit, this works. Like, why would I do it? Why would I do it? I just kept doing it over and over again. And I'd get all these guys hauling in my place, man. And they would stay for the summer. And, 8 of them would rent like this, 2-room apartment out, and be college kids, and they would show up to train, and it was like, I mean, I don't have to run these kids. If I had a kid that was in horrible shape, then sure, without doubt, I'd put them on the prowler, man, and I would, 5 to 10 second burst, 30 seconds, 45 seconds rest. I'd always ask them, like, do you guys run like a speed offense, or is it you guys getting to play in about every 45, every 40 seconds or 30 seconds, whatever it is? And they're like, we go slow. So we would just load the prowler up, bang them, and we go 16, 17 trips. And I'm like, get the GPP up, and then we'd stop. And they're like, we don't got to do it anymore. I'm like, no, I mean,
that's it.
You're pushing 5.
You don't have to throw up. You don't have to throw
up, dude. Every 40 seconds, they were like, that's it. I'm like, no, we raise it up, and it's there. Like, we don't ever go backwards. So we keep your vertical up, we keep jumping, and But yeah, you're right, man. Jumping. What I learned as an athlete and as I got older was explosive power was everything. And it didn't matter the sport. Like you were talking about swimmers, and I mean, we have swimmers, we have whole swim communities behind the box, and it's like our times are dropping. I'm like, yeah, what do you think kicking off the wall is? Mm-hmm. What do you think diving off the blocks is? You know, what do you think the power of your hips, the triple extension up your hips of almost all the strokes, you know, like they're all dropping. And I'm like, yeah, they're all going to continue to drop. Lacrosse, field hockey, I mean, everybody. I mean, that's the biggest thing is like if you just increase the jumps, you don't, depending on the sport, like you don't have to be world class strength. Like we're not making powerlifters. You just have to increase force. And that's the big thing people don't get is like, you know, they'll see me and be like, oh, well, you're a big power lifter. Like, well, yeah, I did it for 20 years because I loved it. And it was something I enjoyed doing. I'm not saying that your kids should do that. You know, if your kid's a baseball player or, you know, tennis player, like I trained a 4-time state champ tennis player, 4-time state champ swimmer. Like, I don't know crap about those sports. I don't know shit about it. All I is, man, I just made them the most powerful people like I possibly could. You know, the triple jumper that I had, that was a D1 triple jumper. She was the funnest because, I mean, ass to grass, like a box squat, like below parallel 365. You know, like she pulled 405, box jumped 58 off the top of my head, but indoor NCAA champion. You know what I mean? Like, I mean, I didn't do anything crazy with her. I wasn't out there doing like drills with her or anything. I wasn't teaching her how to jump. I don't know shit about triple jump. You know, other than she needs to have a huge reservoir of power. You know, we did some hurdle jumps to a box jump and stuff like that for sure. But you're right, man. The jumping across the board in every sport was key. You know, I told the NBA guys originally I made the Ronin for Derek Brunson because when he walked in our gym, and people don't realize about Brunson because like he's a character, man. Like he's, you know, if you deal with UFC fighters and stuff, like some of them are kind of off, and you know, some of them are like, I mean, you kind of got to be, you know what I mean? Like I have a huge wrestling background, so we had a monstrous wrestling program. I was lucky enough to have about 500 wins and had won state championships and stuff, and produced one state champions and high school All-Americans and national champions, blah, 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 yada, yada. So I got a tap into a lot of these guys. And Brunson was working a normal 9 to 5. He had 2 kids. And he was just like, man, like, and he was doing the right stuff too, man. Like he was working like an all-boy girls something or other. Like he was trying to help youth out, man. He's just a good guy. And I remember when he came in, I was like, Derek, he and his high school wrestling coach and I were in business, like when we started our gym together. And we're like, man, you ever thought about fighting? And he's like, man, I won't get hit in the face. And I was like, it's kind of the point, Derek. You don't get hit in the face. You hit some nails in the face, and like you get paid. And he was like, man, I have to think about it. And then he started doing it. He's like, I'm pretty good at this. And I started thinking, man, like he was so blessed genetically, like just a genetic god. I mean, there's stuff I threw at that kid that would make a billy goat puke. And he just, and I kept thinking, like, if I raise his power up, because I knew his boxing was going to be kind of behind his. He was a 3-time All-American wrestler. Like this kid. Here's your. I don't know if you know much about Derek Brunson. He never played sports in high school until senior year.
Really?
Right? No, I swear to God, he's number 2 in the UFC, and he never played sports until his senior year. He wrestled 1 year in North Carolina and took 3rd in state. And supposedly had the state champ on his back like twice or something. And he played football, and in 1 year he got multiple to play football, and he chose to wrestle. Right, so he goes to a small D2 school, takes a chance on it. The following year, he places never All-American in college, like 1 time. And this guy, his 2nd year wrestling, took 4th in the nation, and then All-American like 3 more times. I mean, so this kid is like genetic god freak athlete. And when he walked in, I was like, his head wrestling coach was like, "Oh, he's a really good athlete." And I was like, "Yeah. No, I mean, it's your kid. I get it, man." And I started testing him. I was like, "Good God, this kid is his CNS system." I was like, "What did you do?" like before sports. What did you do? He goes, I was a cheerleader. He said, yeah, man, I did competitive cheerleading. I went, I mean, it's gymnastics. That makes sense.
Right.
Gymnastics.
And there's some jumps. There's some jump. Control the body.
Oh, dude.
Flexibility.
Oh, my God. It was insane. It was insane. It was his kinesthetic awareness was, and still is. I mean,
jumping and flipping in the air and shit. Yeah, you got to be aware.
Oh, my. I mean, makes it look effortless, dude. He'll just like do like 3 forward rolls and spring out of somewhere and do a backflip. And I'm like, what in the hell is that? So when I got him, I said, man, I've got to find a way to push that up because he's going to excel in the sport so fast that, you know, my thought was like maybe his boxing won't be able to catch up with his power because he can produce so much power. I was like, if I could make that ungodly, you know, if I could make his explosive power just insane, all he'd have to do is hit you one time. So I was like, Derek, if you let me go, man, like, I think we can make a run at this. He's like, you do your thing, man. I'll do whatever you say. And for 10 years or 8 years or whatever it was, he did. And he ran through, I think it was Pride and ran, and he got in UFC and just started a rampage, man. And that's where he is now. And he's still doing his thing. I don't train anymore, but I'm training for years. But you know, he still does his thing. Still box jumps. You can, but it like, man, he tagged me in a post and he was box jumping at some gym in Florida, and he's got like the metal shin splinters, and he's on like a 24-inch box with like 130s in his hands, like doing his 40 reps. So I was like, Derek, bro. He's a 185, you know what I mean? It's like that. Yeah. I mean, bro, like we got to get you running. Like you just got to get it running like wherever you go, buddy. But yeah, I made it for him originally because I was like, I can't put these guys on these boxes and risk them. You know, so like when I made it, I made it with him in mind. I don't even know if he even knows that. But I made it with him in mind. I mean, he's one of my favorite people. I don't know if he knows that either. I probably did do a good enough job of telling him because I was right. He's a good man. He's a good dad, good father. You know, good role model for kids, man. I always try to get him around kids because he's had he had that mystique about him. You know, the kids like really liked him because he was just down to earth, man. He's a good guy, man. He never let the hype change who he was. You know what I mean? Like Derek's Derek. I think a lot of him. He's a good man. But yeah, originally, man, that was the reason I made the box. Was like I had to protect those athletes, but still raise their power up. And then I just started testing and retesting over and over again, man. And then I kept finding the data, and I'm like, data's there. They're all right. They're all right. I mean, I remember multiple times he would call me at fight camps, and be like, I'm sitting dudes down like on accident. Like we have headgear on and 16-ounce gloves, and I'm sitting down. And I'm like, really? He goes, Coach, my power's through the roof. And I was like, well, buddy, you did do a standing box jump to 64 inches. So like, yeah, man, like, you know, it's pretty crazy. I mean, that same kid, like kneeling, you guys do kneeling jump squats?
Yeah, I do. I have some kids that their hip strength is just, they can't get off the ground. And then I have one kid, like my soccer kid, because they usually have really flexible hips and he's strong. He's at Davison. He jumped off the ground. I think his starting was like 16, and he's done 30 inches straight off the knees.
To like a box?
Yeah, like so no touching the ground, right onto the box from the knees. Yeah.
Damn.
Yeah.
That's all. Yeah. I mean, yeah, you think like Derek did, I think in the 40s. But we like when I was pushing him up, he had did 225 on his back, no problem, for 24 reps.
Shit.
Yeah. And that wasn't even the gym record. That he was trying to chase the gym record because I had a high school wrestler that used to give him fits. Kid was talented. I tried to get him to fight. He's a college coach now. Tried to get him to fight because, man, God knows he was explosive. But he did 315 for a single, no problem.
Like come off the ground? Yeah. Yeah.
That's when I was like, early on, man, I thought like power is great. Like power and velocity. People don't realize this. Like Lou had always explained power is work divided by time. And that's what it is in physics. But power and speed, power equals force times velocity. So I'm sitting there thinking like powers, like the force, I know I can generate. Like I can get their numbers to go. Just run the conjugate system. Like I know I can get their numbers to grow. But I knew like I was going to put my stock like in the deadlift because like what you said. And they're always like wherever they excelled in weight, that's usually where I press the gas. But I saw more athletic carryover with the deadlift than I did the squat.
Yeah.
And I would push that force up, and then I would increase velocity with box. And once I did that, their power. I mean, like I said, power equals mass times acceleration. Like once you know those physics equations and you know how to push it up, like it all lines up perfectly. And I think like for 40 years, Lou was trying to explain that the best way that he could. I mean, you talk to some of these guys, it's like talking to like Elon Musk. They're so smart. They're so intelligent. Yeah. Like for them to talk down to us and try to make it make sense, you're like, what? A lot of people just don't get it. But like he was right. Like if you start including physics, biomechanics, mathematics, and you make it make sense in your sport, then it's so easy to translate it into all sports.
Yeah.
Like everybody kept asking, like, you guys do sport specific training? I'm like, sure. Yeah. You're laughing because it's bullshit. It doesn't exist. Like organism's the organism, man. It don't matter. Like, but it's soul memberships, bro. And I was like, yes, we do.
What? So tell everybody how'd you get started? In the industry and everything. Like, what was your background? Starting from play, you said you did wrestling and you played football in college. How did you transition from player to coach, and then your gym, and then now with the box gym, all that?
I think it was like 2002. Just like everybody else, man. Out of college, I was multiple American, and I'm in the Hall of Fame in Ohio. And you have aspirations of playing pro ball, man. But I was playing a bowl game. Everybody has their story. I was playing a bowl game. I was lucky enough to represent the United States and got hurt in the bowl game, and it was away from the like any kind of combine I was going to do. I had grade 2 tears in my MCL, LCL, PCL, all that blew out my meniscus, and I was like, I can't run. Like, there's no way I could even do it either. And the same hit, I ripped off my bicep, had 2 slap lesions. Yeah, I destroyed my shoulder, and it was just a massive hit from behind, and just bad luck or whatever. So that kind of shot away those goals pretty quick. I was pretty beat up for about a year and a half after that. And, but I didn't have shoulder surgery until after, because I used the hyper volume that Westside preaches, like doing 100 to 200 reps and thickening the ligaments and tendons back up. So I was doing everything they said not to do. Like, every kind of shoulder direction, every shoulder raise I could think of, I was doing 200 reps a day, every day, trying to get that labrum to heal, and the ligaments to heal, my bicep to heal. And so I went 6 years, was benching mid 5s, doing just fine. And so, yeah, I mean, I was good. Never had knee surgery. I mean, today they would have cut me. Today they would have cut me because I had grade 2 tears of everything. It was hanging on by like string of bubble gum, Never to this day have I had knee issues, like ever. I did my 200 leg curls a day, with a band or with dumbbells or ankle weights every single day. Sometimes I'd ramp it up 400 to 600, and for months and months and months, man, and just was powerlifting and growing my lifts myself, and never had any problems with it. So, but yeah, like when I started coaching, I was really raw, and I was really kind of like as a coach, like I think when we enter the coaching realm, it's like you automatically reflect on how you were coached, and what gave you success. And I think you start there, and I think you kind of branch out to what you want to be.
Yeah.
And I was lucky enough when I moved from Ohio to North Carolina because I wasn't really sure about the whole college coaching thing.
Mm-hmm.
Just getting fired and hired so much and moving around all the time, man. I just, I'm kind of want to stay in one place kind of guy. And I like having adventures and stuff like that, but it didn't make much sense to me, like why a strength coach would get like fired when the athletic staff got fired. Like we should be totally separate and at least be allowed to like interview her for a position. So my own little tip for that. But I decided like, hell with it. I'm going to at least give it a run and just coach high school for a couple of years. And then if I want to go back into college, I will. And started coaching college. And I remember they wanted me as a football coach at the school I took over at, and was lucky enough to take over. And they're like, well, look, our wrestling coach is like ran the program in the ground. He was kind of a dirtbag and did some really bad stuff. And I was like, okay, well, are you saying we coach wrestling? They're like, yeah. I'm like, I didn't wrestle in college. I just wrestled in high school. And I was pretty good, and not world ranked or anything, but I was pretty good. And I was like, yeah, I mean, I'd love to do that. That'd be awesome. I was like, no pressures. And like, no. So I was like, man, I was thinking in my mind, like, this would be a great experiment to like run the contest system. All these kids,
I'll just make all these motherfuckers strong as shit.
That's it. I'm about the ball. And but I didn't do it at first. I wanted to try like linear gradual progressive overload and all the stuff you learned in college that we paid all the money for.
Right.
Even though like I was trained by conjugate guys in high school, like in the bottom of a dirty YMCA. And I never forget, like I walked up these guys, man, they were just massive dudes, man. I was 13 years old and I was like, this guy named Big John, he was like 7 foot tall, and the dude, they never even competed. They never even got on the platform. Like, really? But they were like the strongest human beings I've ever seen. Like John, I watched John rep 800 in squats. He's 7'1". That was like 450. Dude, he was massive. I mean, he was so wide and so big. He had to turn sideways to get in the squat rack. Like he was so big, dude. I mean, he had like a beard down to here, and like I don't know how the man did it. Like throughout the whole workout, he had Copenhagen from ear to ear, and would just carry a trash can and spit the entire time. But there was like 8 of these dudes, bro. And I was like 13, and I walked up to him and was like, man, I don't know what the hell I'm doing, but I want to be the baddest motherfucker you ever seen. And they're like, you got some balls, kid. And I was like, that's all I got, because I'm weak as water. I need some help. And they were like, and I'm like, poor white trash, man. I didn't have no money. So I was like, man, I can't pay y'all nothing. I can clean up after you or something, but like that's all I can do. This is like
the spit bucket.
Yeah. It's like a hood rat place, like I mean, like it was in the bottom of like I remember there was water leaking out of the ceiling from the pool, and like there wasn't nobody in that place, but the people that were in there were like straight out of prison, man. Like it was like, I mean, they were jacked. I mean, bodybuilders. I mean, the guys that were lifting in there were straight jacked, and I was like, damn. And I just walked up to those dudes. I said, man, I need some help, man. I really like. They were like, you're kind of a different kid. And I was like, yeah. I was like, I don't care about like drugs or girls or nothing, man. Like, I just want to crush dudes. And they were like, for real? I said, I mean, I really want to hurt people like that. And like, I like you, man. I was like, thanks, man. They started training, and that's how I started. Like, they would give me books. And they were like, it was kind of like Westside. Like I mean, some of these guys are like construction workers, janitors, and like in and out of prison, and they were like, nah, man, like this is the only way. Like this is the way. Like you can do all this other bullshit, but you'll come back to this because this never lies. And all those other things, that's somebody else's conjugation. You can only do it for so long and you'll get hurt. He's like, but this doesn't lie. And I was like, damn, that's some deep shit, man. And then I went to college, and I was like, they're teaching all this stuff, and I kept raising my hand. I'm like, I was talking to a guy that I talked to the other day. He trained at Westside for years, and we went to college together. And he was like, he trains John Jones, or he did. And we were talking. It was like I remember we were getting the same exercise phys class, and we just kept raising our hand, going like, "Wait, what? Like, what about dynamic effort? What about like max effort? Like, what?" And we just kept going on and on, and he just kept getting pissed, more pissed, because he was already training at Westside then. I wasn't, you know, I was kind of like, what the hell, you know? But I'm sitting here thinking, like, I left high school benching 405 pounds. Like, I left squatting 6. You know? But I was like, well, hell, they got to be right. Like, what would a construction worker or like a janitor know? Like, I'm here dealing with these professors, you know, like these guys are supposed to be on point. So, like, I started that first year, and I, you know, same thing. The coach at the time cared about like Olympic lifts and stuff like that. I said, cool, man. Like, I know about limb lifts. Like, I'll push them up. So we had an army of like 300-pound clingers and hang clingers and all these, you know, but like their times went nowhere. You know, I'm sitting there thinking like, man, I got clocked at Michigan at a 4.7. I weighed 330.
Right.
And I was like, you know, but we were jumping. We were covering all 3 velocities. Like, they were like, dude, you got to jump. Like, I was the only one of my, like, I was the weakest one in that whole group. Like, they would call me names every day. Come on, pussy. Like, you got to get your ass over here. You got to jump. And I'm like, why do I got to jump? Your big asses don't jump. They're like, you're an athlete. We're doing this for fun. I mean, they had me jumping on all kinds of crazy shit, you know?
Wow.
And I was like, damn. And for a year, I trained these kids, and we did, because they were so athletic, they did good. But I was like running the numbers. I'm like, I'm a data guy, man. I'm like, this don't pan out. Like, it just doesn't make sense. And I said, the hell with this. And I started going through my books, and I was like, I'm going to run what I ran in high school on these guys. And then I started learning everything about Louis and everything about Westside. I mean, I read his books hundreds of times. And every book that he recommended, I read those. And every book that he said he couldn't find, I found. Yeah, I read those books. I mean, I remember when I went there, that man was like, some of the videos and stuff that they put out on him, and like, doesn't depict who he was, like, at all. I mean, because he was like the nicest person. You know, like, I didn't live there, so like, I don't know that part of his business. You know, he was trying to prove his method, and I understand that. I really do. But when you went there as somebody like trying to ask questions, like, that man sat with me before the box, like, sat with me for like 3 hours just talking, you know, just like, and I had my books that he had wrote, and like the binds had busted off of them because I'd read them so many times as a reference. And he was like, Jake, go back in the back and pick out any books that you want. I was like, what? And he was like, go get all the books that you want and just keep spreading our method. And I was like, are you for real? Like, any book? Because I'm gonna go crazy if you let me in there. Like, I ain't got no money. Like, you know, I was a school teacher, man. Like, I didn't have no money. So I went back there, dude, and I grabbed like 20, 30 books, man. And he was like, damn, you got the library. I said, Coach, man, I'm gonna read all of them. Like, I'm gonna buy everything that's in these books. And he was like, I hear you, buddy. So like, you know, that next year, man, like, the high school boomed. Like, all the sports took off. Because I was teaching weightlifting 4 periods a day. And we had block periods, so we had about an hour and a half. So like, and our school was different. Like, they were sport minded, so like, they didn't dump like general pop in there. It was all athletes, every sport. So like, I was getting down. These kids were getting down. And then moved around a couple different schools. Got to another school. They hadn't pissed a drop like in football. And like, I mean, 5-10 years or something like that. I don't know what it was. They hadn't won more than 2 ball games. We took over. And with nobody, I remember, I'll tell you, like, I recruited an A-string wide receiver as my offensive tackle because like, he wasn't gonna play, and I needed somebody. We were running like option. And I needed somebody that could like get in somebody's way. I'm like, you're my dude, Brock. Come here. And he was like, you want me to do what? I was like, you about to be offensive tackle. He's like, I ain't gonna be this big motherfuckers. I was like, you can do it. But like, my second year, my first year there, like, I was the assistant wrestling coach the first year there. And my first school, out of that first school, I took a program that was in destitute. I rebuilt every program that I coached, and I used the conjugate method, and that's how we did it. By the third year at that first school, we were ranked the top 25 in the country. All my kids, and out of that school, 2 kids are now on the Western Hemisphere. They're known as the best 2 MMA coaches in the world. The Hickman brothers. And they're phenomenal men. Phenomenal. George is a great father, I'm sure. Great man. Frank is a great man. So like I had all these kids I was introducing this program, the system to, and just making gods. I mean, it was amazing. And then bounced around a little bit and, had some things happen, ended up another school. And I called up one of my buddies and said, man, I'd love to be your assistant coach. He's like, don't you have like 300 wins? I said, yeah. And he goes, you want to be my assistant? I said, yeah, man, I don't care. I don't care about none of that stuff. That's just numbers. And he was like, for real? So we took over his program. I ran his program for him. I was already coaching his kids at the time. And we went to the state finals and lost. And then he was like, look, man, he was the AD. He's like, I'm going to fire myself. You be the head coach. I was like, okay. So that second year, I was lifting the entire school. It was a small school, but it was kind of ghetto. And I was lifting all the kids in like an old storage closet, like 40, 50 kids in like a storage closet in a period. And that next year we won in all sports. We won 11 state championships.
Oh shit.
Yeah. So then like that school popped off and I started my gym shortly after that because we won that year. We were one of the state champions. We won the state title. A bunch of other sports did. So like by then they were like, we'll do anything you say, coach. Like I said, man, now's the time. Like I need to start a gym and I could probably help other kids do the same thing. And kind of use like the fame that I built, helping kids, chase their dreams and still run this system and still test this data. And, cause you do this stuff long enough, man. Like you want to see that it's right. You want to see like right. the numbers are running and you're like, this shit's working and it's working flawlessly. Like this is easy shit to do. Why doesn't everybody else know how to do this? And fast forward a couple more years, switched to another school, did the same thing, took over another school, was kind of destitute. And first year we went like 3-18. Second year we went like 11-10. Third year we went 20-3. And it was the same thing, conjugate system. Just got them strong, got them freaky strong. And they were like a real poor system school. So like we changed everything around. Like football was winning. Everybody was winning. Not world beaters yet, but so ran my gym for 15 years, I think it's 15 years, and trained, Olympians, world champions, 2-time strongest woman in the world, bunch of UFC, Bellator, WC, Pride, everybody you could think of, man. They were, because we live on the beach, so like we have good draw, man. Like you could come there for fight prep, and your family could hang on the beach, and you could train a couple times a week, and the guys loved me because, man, we weren't running like 2-hour training sessions. It was, 45 minutes, 60 minutes, they're done. So they were like, man, this is great, man. My numbers are going up. I'm faster. I'm more explosive. Like, yeah. So, and then, like I said, about the first year, and I think in 08, that's 08 or 07, that's when I've been in the Ronin. And started applying like all the box stepping methods, man. So, and just kind of ran after that. And like towards the end, man, like I remember we had like Goldberg and like some other guys come in and they kept looking at the box. They're like, man, that's, you need to make that. Like people need to know like about that. And like I was mentioning my center that played for NC State, like he's in the WWE now. And one of my other kids, he's in both of them are in the WWE now. And it was the same thing. Like they were so athletic from jumping. It's good to hear a strength coach say like jumping's so underutilized because I made all these kids that were like nothing into amazing athletes from jumping. I mean, squat and deadlift is great. Bench press is great. Overhead lifts is great, but jumping is what made them. When that went up, their athleticism went to the roof. I'm telling you, like I did. Out of the 500 wins I had as a wrestling coach, I didn't probably deserve 200 of those. They were kids that couldn't shoot bubble gum and walk at the same time. Like they were so uncoordinated, man. And like I took kids that couldn't play another sport, but they wrestled and they excelled. They did well. Yeah. So and it was all thanks to like all the readings, Brushansky and Charles Poliquin and Simmons and. I mean, Charlie Francis, I read all their books, applied every bit of information I could, tested, retested, dropped something, gained something else, man. Like, but the one thing I just never did was the jumping part. I mean, and it had to be power metrics. It wasn't like the reactive elastic jumps, like the little stuff, it was The big, huge, powerful. Like, have you read Vershansky's book, the Russian one?
Which one?
Special Strength. You read that one? It's a horrible
I
read.
think I'm like in the middle of reading it, and then I just dropped it as I got busy. Because I've read Super Training, and I've read Science of Sports Training, and the managing or the training of the weightlifter. I think I have that. I have a few of those, like they're like 200 page. They're rough.
Oh,
they're like a horrible. Weird. It's like I think it's just the organization, because like Super Training is hard because it's just so dense. But theirs, I was like, I don't know what the hell they're saying right now.
It was the translation from Russian to English was the problem.
Right.
And so you got to bounce around. But if you bounce around, like if I had my book, I'd tell you the exact page. But if like you went to there's a certain page in there that has 3 jumps that Vershansky used to measure power. One was vertical, one was broad jump, the other was the box jump. And people don't realize that, like, even in the 1940s, that man was using that for this.
Right.
In 1945, he had somebody jump up and kick a basketball. Like,
right.
You got my attention, bro. Like, how are you? Like, drugs, no drugs. I mean, whatever. Like, that's insane.
Right.
and that's pre-steroids. There wasn't even steroids back then. So that's insane to think about. So, like, when I started reading his book, it says box jumping should be double leg box jumping should be for max height, okay, and max effort. Like, it says it perfectly. And this is the guy that invented plyometrics, like, in his mind, him and Seth. So, like, the dudes are freaking geniuses, man. So all I did was start applying it. And once I did, every athlete that I touched took off. Yeah. Like, we were taking people 8th on the depth chart that couldn't piss a drop, and they were graduating high school as high school Americans, you know? And people were like, how are you doing this? And I would explain it, and they'd be like, no, seriously, how are you doing? I'm like, that's it. Like, I made them jump higher. That's it. I mean, and I think, like we were talking earlier, like, that is such a valuable metric, man, that is so underutilized, that really controls everything, not just linear and lateral speed, but it controls all athletic ability. You know, like a wrestler tying up, or a hockey player hitting a puck, or a basketball player obviously going for a dunk, a volleyball hitting a kill. It's all tied into it, and it transfers into all sports.
Yeah, because the jump too, it's even showing your upper body strength and power because of the whipping going down and up. You see kids that are weak in the bench, and you see that it looks like their upper body is like delayed coming down and coming back up. Like, that's part of it too. Like, so if you don't have like all this crazy amount of equipment, or you just want a quick test, like if you see a kid jump and I'm like, we got to raise that. Like, I can already guess based off his jump probably what he can squat. Like, it's probably going to be shit if it's a low. Like, it's simple. Like, it's really not that hard. But you see at colleges, they don't have lasers for sprints, and they don't have things to test their jumps, or they don't jump. And it's like, well, that will put people on the spot. So they ain't going to do
that. Yep. And that's the thing I got, was that was their aha moment, was you might not have dug into the research as much as I have. I said, but it's a powerful metric. Because I was telling the NBA coaches, I was like, that's a metric that could provide job security. Mm-hmm. And they're like, what do you mean? I said, well, you have to think of it. If you use box jumping the way that I'm saying, and it's not even the way that I'm saying, it's the way that the guy that originated box jumping said to do. I said, if you did that, and you say you put 6 to 10 inches on somebody's vertical preseason, but they were playing like shit, and I said, that's not you.
Yeah.
Like, you proved what you were doing. Like, vertical is everything in basketball. And they're like, true. And I said, that's X's and O's. That ain't Jimmy and Joe's, brother. Mm-hmm. And I said, that to us as the strength coach, that's job security. Because you can go to the next coach. If they fire that coach, you can go to the next coach and say, wait, hold on. Now, dude, this is what I did. These guys were averaging increase in a vertical leap 4 to 6 inches every year that I was here. I mean, that's valuable metric. You know what I mean? Like, I think as strength coaches, we're so quick to start getting people stronger that we don't use the metrics that can prove what we're doing is working and is producing the athlete, rather than just getting the athlete strong.
And it's like, you can get a guy strong But then if his jump doesn't improve, you need to adjust those percentages, sets and reps, all that, because you have something to say, well, what are they? It's not like a powerlifter. The jump will be like an accessory for a powerlifter, but for the guy, the main test needs to be their jumps and their sprints, and whatever happens on that barbell is second. So if you're not testing those things, how do you know that you're properly using those percentages, or that lift needs to change and all that type of stuff,
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. You nail on the head, brother. And like I mentioned that triple jumper earlier, and she was special, but like same deal. She went to college, came back a year later, all of her numbers had dropped. And she said they were circuit training. I said, "You doing what?"
God.
So they set up, like you were saying, like 20 different things. They run us through it and kept calling us fat asses and stuff. I'm like, this girl was like 130 pounds of like just twisted steel, man. Like she was, cut to ribbons, genetic goddess. And I was like, what? And she said, I'm here for 6 weeks. I got 6 weeks off for the summer before I go back. What do you want to do? And I said, well, let's test your numbers. We tested day one. They weren't bad. You know what I mean? Like she hadn't lost like a ton. Genetic God now. I mean, you're talking like the CNS system on this girl was amazing. So she hadn't lost a lot. But the freaky thing was, and this is a triple jumper now, and it makes sense though, because they were doing HIIT training. Her power output had dropped so much. Like her force was there. She just lost her power output. Her box jump had dropped from that 58 to like a 42.
Ooh, that's night and day.
I'm like, this is your fucking sport, man. Like, how do you not test? Like, she's a triple jumper. What are you testing, dude? Like, she's a triple jumper. It just blew my mind. So I said, look, man, we're gonna run we're gonna run 2 3-week waves. We're gonna run dynamic and explosive power, 30 to 40 with accommodating resistance, 70, 75, 80 with accommodating resistance, or I'm sorry, 50, 55, 60 with accommodating resistance. And I said, we're gonna push your speed strength up, your explosive power back up, and we're gonna get your jumps back up. And 6 weeks, she leaves, she cracks 56, 57 again. No max effort, all dynamic and explosive power. And so she goes back, and the college coach calls me up and says, what the hell did you do? And I said, I said, I'm not criticizing your program, sir. And I said, look, I don't understand why you're doing circuit training. And he said, look, man, it's what our coaches did. It was exactly what you said earlier. Like, it was the coach of a coach that knew a coach that got in, that was a player, that was an athlete. You need to talk to the guys at Westside. They said they'll let you in.
Wait, you bleeped out for a second. What happened after you said a coach of a note that knew a coach, blah, 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 like from there, go from there?
Oh, I just said, like, I mean, he basically got the job because he was a good athlete himself, and he knew somebody that got him the job and was going to do good enough. I mean, he's D1 athletes, man. You can run them to death and then go to a meet and still win. You know what I mean? Like, you're not.
Yeah.
The retest there is not solid. And I said, he asked me what I was doing. I said, look, man, it's not what I'm doing. I said, I'm following a template. I'm following a diagram. I'm following a path. I said, you can either choose to walk that path or you can't. And he said, well, tell me what you're doing. I said, it's not my path. I said, you're a college coach, bro. I said, go to Columbus, go to that gym, talk to those men. Right. And he did. And he changed everything. I never had to fight him again. With my girl, he was like, I mean, he was devouring books. I mean, just anything. And we had an open dialogue where he'd call me and be like, did you know this? I'm like, yeah. Have you run that? Yeah, man. I don't have to run them. No. I mean, you run max effort. Like, sprinting is max effort. Like, you test, they're running a 100-meter dash, you test whatever it is that wherever they start decelerating, like, that's when you start testing. For women, it's usually 30 to 40 meters. For men, it's usually 60 to 70 if they're elite. And I said, you can test a 20, a 30, a 40, a 50, 60 in a man. I said, you can do the same thing in a girl, test the 20, the 30, the 40. But if they decelerate after 50, there's no point in testing there. For women, you got to decrease deceleration. So you got to get them stronger so that it can accelerate longer.
Longer.
Get them strong. Yeah, accelerate longer. And I said, well, man, you just got to get them up that 60-70 meter range. And he was like, I said, I'm telling you, it's going to sound crazy, but these guys have done this with power walking and jumping and increasing force. And they're like, no. So it's just get the sleds, man, and start doing it. And they took off. He goes, this is insane. These kids are so happy. I see even my long distance guys, like they love like going on like a mile, but they got like 100 pounds strapped to them. I was like, yes, swinging Indian clubs, and they got ankle weights on and vests on. They said they love it, man. I said, yeah, you just max them out once a week, test their mile, see what they're running their mile at. As long as the times are dropping and they're jumping and they're lifting. I was like, they don't have to be powerlifters. And I was like, if you're doing I threw some other stuff at him. I said, if you did like 1 minute lifts with like 30-40% range lift, like weights, 100 pounds, you put 30 pounds in the bar, but you tell them you got 1 minute, squat as many reps as you can on that box, and they bust it out, and then you got a record, and then the following week they try to beat that record. I was like, that is beating deceleration. Every week they will get faster. Yeah. So he started applying all this stuff, and he's like, this is insane. And I was like, no, you just don't stop. There is no off season, man. You don't stop doing it. I was like, there's so much stuff you could get for your school. And he ended up getting like an ATP and some other stuff. And I mean, he was always very thankful. Like, man, like you made me fall head first into this realm. He was one of the first people to buy the box too when it came out. And he was like, I'm all over that. Like that answers everybody's prayers. I'm like, yeah, man, keep everybody's no more busted shins, man. No more stacking up pads. No more, no more falling off stuff. Like, it's all taken care of, man.
What was the height? How do I measure the box again? Fuck. How do I measure the damn box? God damn it.
Well, I mean, bro, man. I mean, your gym's private sector, right?
Yeah.
I mean, man, you got like an 11-year-old middle school kid, like, and you're saying put the box on 27. You look over there and it's on like 48, and you're like, what the hell are you doing? And you're like, I don't know, man. So you're dealing with kids too, man. That's why I said, when Titan took it, I said, I want the numbers laser edged into the tubing so that kids can see it. And so that strength coaches don't have to add shit up. Because, man, I mean, adding that stuff up every single day, like, it'll drive you insane, especially because if you know the importance. And like at my gym, we box jump 52 weeks a year, every year. Every week we box jump 40 jump, at least. Unless you were brand new. If you were brand new, it's 24 jumps twice a week. Or if you were a kid. But most of my athletes were 40 jumps twice a week. And then like Brunson and his elite athletes, they're 40 jumps 3 times a week. We trained all 3 velocities. I pushed all 3 velocities up. So they would jump with strength speed. He would hit, 85 to 95%. And we would weight those jumps. Everybody was like, man, are you doing body weight with those? I'm no, we're chasing weight. If he's hitting 95% and we're doing 5s with it, that's more than body weight. The next week, if we did 8, more than body weight. Right. And we just keep pushing that shit up. And he did it all year long. So by the time he went into fight prep, we backed everything off and we just put in what he needed 2 days a week. Dynamic explosive work. That was it. And we pushed his jumps up. He'd go in any fight and touch him with his chin and put him to sleep. So, but yeah, man. I mean, that's it really. I mean, I got into it and I'm super competitive, man. Obviously, like I used to tell the kids, man, like I race a pregnant woman in a car and I trip her on the way, just to say I wanted something that day. You know what I mean? Like I don't like to lose. I can't lose. And if you get me once, you ain't gonna get me twice. And that's what led me to conjugate training was like, if I do this, my kids are ungodly strong. And in high school athletics, like that's 90% of it to me. They're 10% of it's skill. So if I can make the kid super explosive and in their own term, way stronger than they were. I take a baseball player that deadlifts 225 on day one and he deadlifts 425 later on, but I put 12 inches on his box jump. Like I know he's going to play ball better. Now, is it world breaking powerlifting numbers? No, but they don't have to be. Nope. You know what I mean? All he had to do is increase force and increase the speed of force that he can create it. And then that all transfers into every sport, man.
And you're just teaching them how to lift safe too. That's the thing. You see so many kids come from school, and it's like they've been lifting 5-6 years into school, and they still don't know how to bench, squat, or don't know how to walk out weight, or the bars going towards their face on their bench, or their deadlift and an RDL is completely rounded back. It's like, who the hell is teaching you? Oh, you're just relying on your genetic freaks. That's what you're doing. So it's like it's not even so much. It's not even just them getting better physically and stronger and faster, but like when they get to school, they can be the one kid on the team that sometimes knows more than the coach.
Yep. No, I know. And that's as sad as it is. I think it's, people don't read much anymore, and they want it where we get it, like Instagram and YouTube and stuff like that. And I don't blame them, man. I mean, I understand. Like you said, like reading that Russian manual is painful. Like and you're trying to get the answers out of it. It's like, Jesus Christ, like that was a 3-paragraph sentence. Like, and I don't know what I just read. It's like, damn, and I'm like, I got a doctorate degree and like I can't read this shit. And it's like it's tough to read, but you gotta learn to like jerk the information out of what you want. But I think my search now, man, is like I'm trying to just am I trying to sell the Ronin to people? Yeah, of course I am. But I'm trying to sell like what I did too, because I think any coach can do it. And I want to push. That was kind of the biggest thing that I took from, meeting all these great people in strength that I met is the most successful strength coaches, the strongest people were like the most humble and the most caring people. Like they would always tell you, like they'd always answer my questions, and I'm annoying as shit. Like you can probably tell I'm long-winded as hell. And he like I would always learn from all those guys, man. And I like right now with the Ronin, I just want to show people like it's not all this hoopla. It ain't like you can learn all that speed agility shit, all the ladder drills. You can learn all that, but guess what? Without power, there is no speed or agility. You have to be able to create. Like all my kids, like that went to the combine for college or NFL, like we had the fastest Illinois 3-cone pro shuttle, and we never did it. I mean, maybe like the week or two before, if like they felt uncomfortable, I'd be like, sure, I'll show you how to do it. Yeah. But you're ready now. Like you're going to have the fast time. And we were religiously getting 4 flats, 3 nines, 4 ones. I mean, I had a big boy run an offensive lineman dude ran a 4.2. I mean, flying. But I mean, that big boy he's like 360, 380, but he was pulling like 765. And never like he came from a college that actually deadlifted, which I thought was super rare. Coach didn't do deadlifting. They jumped, they deadlifted, they squat. I said, man, I hear you, brother. Yeah. He came to me and I said, look, I got some special tools in my gym, man, where we can back attacks, and we had all the hypers, and I didn't have the inverse leg curl or any of that stuff yet, but we had some other freaky stuff that we were using on people. And I was like, bro, we're going to get you right. And he went up like 100 pounds in like 6 weeks on his deadlift. And I was like, damn, bro, like you're going to be smoking it. And he was like, oh, I'm about to crush some fools. And I was like, yeah, boxing up went through the roof. He had never, he had jumped, but it was kind of the same thing. Like when I talked to his coach, he was like, it was one of the determining factors, like why I like decided to try to manufacture the box, because he had said, he was like, the thing is, like, he goes, we go max effort. He had these wood boxes that he had made, that he had bought, and he was like, he had carpeted them and put cushion on. He's like, I try to make them safe to get max effort out of them. Right. He's like, but the kids are still scared. He's
and
like,
the big boy, that's harder. They're big too. Yeah,
I know, man. Like you get on my Instagram page now, like I try to produce as many big boys on there as I can, because you're going to watch a shit-eating grin on their face every time they jump and turn around and grab the handles and get down. They're like, oh, it's on now. It's on now. My big ass ain't scared to get up there no more. Yeah. And like the NBA coaches were asking me, you do your jumps? I said, I do them twice a week. I said, I just hit a 3-inch PR the other day. And they're like, you're kidding me? I said, no, I can grab 9.9. I said, I'm 43 years old. And I said, I'm a wrestler and a football player. And I said, I'll dunk again. And they were like, "You're kidding?" I said, "No, when I do, you'll see it on the internet. Because I will dunk again." And I said, now that I can get up there, not to worry about hurting my old ass. But, he was kind of the really aha moment for me because he was like, I'm always getting sub-maximal effort. I don't think there will ever be a way to get true max effort out of these kids because they're only going to jump so high and do so much. And I can tell they're doing it. They love me. Like, you talk to this kid about his coach, and it wasn't like, man, I hate my strength coach. He was like, I would die for that dude. Like, that dude, like, sacrifices everything for us. Like, he fights for us. And talking to the guy was like, he was like, I'm never going to get a max effort like the way it was supposed to be done. And I was like, I'm sitting there thinking, like, I got this thing in my gym, man. And then the rest is history, man. I kind of took it to some places, talked to some people, and they made me believe that other people would be interested in it. And sure enough, that's why. Yeah. I mean, so I just try to spread the word best that I can. I just started a YouTube channel, so I'm gonna try and I get a lot of questions like on implication and stuff like that. I'm not the most technical savvy guy in the world, so I'm learning as I go. And so just kind of started a YouTube channel. That way I can be a little bit more long-winded and put a decent post out and try to connect the two with Facebook and Instagram so people can see it. That way I can answer everybody's questions. Like I went through the same kit and caboodle with the NBA coaches a bunch of times. Like the first thing I always do, I'd show it to you. I can send it to you after we're done. Is I hit my shins on the box. I did it probably 100 times for the NBA coaches. You figure there's 30 coaches. There's probably 3 or 4 of them to pop. I jumped up and I'm telling you, like I bashed the shit out. Jump up, hit my shins. I jump up. I grab the handles and I push myself down. I slam them on there and I turn around and start laughing at them. And I'm like, they're like, holy shit. But the thing was, like, I'd say 90% of those coaches lifted up their pants and all of them had shin scars.
Right.
Like, and they were like, damn, bro, like, this is genius. Like no one can get hurt anymore. So I'm not saying no one can ever get hurt anymore. Like, you can't, like, no one can legally say that. I said, but I'm telling you right now, you just watch somebody's 340 jump up and put Stength on it and today. So you can take it as how you see it. And they were like, damn. And then I do the handles. I have them jump up, grab the handles, I push them forward, pull them back, push them forward, pull them back. I said, look, within a minute, if I had your athlete, they just found out they can't get hurt anymore. And that you're going to be right behind them. You're going to be right behind them, like spotting them. You're not going to be holding the pad down, staring at them, hoping to God they don't eat shit. Like, you're going to be actually behind them, grabbing a hold of their hips and going, you're okay.
Yeah.
Now you're going to get max effort. Now you're going to turn around and watch that smile of, D1 athletes. Like, they want to compete. They're used to excelling, man. They want to excel. They want to beat anybody at anything. They want to compete. So now you gave them the green light to let it fly. And that's when, that's what, like, my college kids would get so upset is they would go to college and come back and I'm like, or if we did, they're like, they're shit. The coach had me jumping like 30 inches. I jumped 60 inches. Coach. So, like, you're never getting max effort. So this thing known and try to explain power metrics and the difference between power metrics and plyometrics and not try to be, I don't know, the authority on it, but like try to tell people what I know, what I learned from other people, because I didn't make any of this shit up. Like I learned from geniuses, man. I just read their books, I applied it, and was like, damn, this shit works. I'm gonna steal from anybody I can. That's just the way I've always been.
I heard that.
Poor kid, bro. So I'll take from anybody. If it makes me better, I'll take from anybody. If I can read something and it makes my kids better than yours, like, you better believe I'm gonna do
it. Anything else you want to say? Before we log off, more maybe about the invention or where people can find you, the box and everything.
Yeah, we're Instagram. You can check us on Instagram or Facebook. It's at RonanJumpBox.com. Or not .com, but at RonanJumpBox. If you want to check us out on our website, it's RonanJumpBox.com. Pretty standard website. It's just where you can purchase, where you can go through. It'll take you, a lot of people get thrown off because when you purchase on my website, it takes you right to the Titan website. And that's the way we prefer it, is for you to go through runandjumpbox.com and then go into the Titan site and finish the purchase. But yeah, just if you can follow us on Instagram, follow us on Facebook. More Instagram than Facebook. I'm trying to get better at Instagram and stuff like that. But yeah, I mean, if you have a question, DM me. I'm usually really quick on trying to answer questions as fast as I can. Just had a couple gentlemen purchase boxes this morning, and they were asking information, how to implement it into the program, stuff like that. And I told them it really doesn't take long once you understand it, how to do it. It's super easy. So that's the thing, is this whole system. It's stupid easy to put in.
Yeah.
The rest of the content can be a little bit overwhelming. But just jumping, I mean, you want to run whatever system you want to run, like, do it. And you can jump anytime during the week, before, after, during, it don't matter. As long as you get the 40 jumps in a week, it's all that matters, man. And that's it, man. Now everybody can box jump, be safe, and any athlete can become great.
I heard that. Yeah, I'm gonna try to talk to my boss again, because I just forgot about it. But maybe, because I remember you talking about coming down. Maybe try to show him, because he's always ready to buy something. You can believe that. We got like everything in our gym. And he's another conjugate guy too. So and we all know we have a lot of big football players that are college or in the NFL, and it's like, yeah, if we could save that, and just, if you got a bunch of kids of different heights, different strength, different power, to slide that thing up and down, and
don't gotta wait anymore.
Injury, and it take up less space in our gym, because we have 2 stacks. We could just have the 1 stack, and your thing rolls. Like, you could just move it with like a dolly, kind of, right? Yeah, that's much nicer than trying to carry the bitch, across the damn gym.
Yeah. No, it moves, it adjusts. You get 68 different box heights in the big one, and the little one you get 48. They're both fully adjustable. The little one's about 185 pounds, so you can move that one. CrossFit loves that one. Yeah, they move it all over the gym, so that one's great. And you also have the
that's probably has that boomed in the cross, because them motherfuckers jump on the wooden fucking boxes, and then some of the soccer moms that can only jump on a 10-inch box, and then they're like, oh well, our smallest only goes to 20. You know what I mean? Like, that's probably the clutch for them.
Yeah, I mean, I'm hoping. I wish it would cross over more. They're kind of like, they cheap out on some stuff, and then they buy expensive like bars and stuff like that. But it's starting to, like, everybody that I've mentioned it to, like, they're like, they say the same thing, like, oh man, that'd be huge in CrossFit. Like, they do a lot of ollie, and jumping's huge in ollie. It's just realizing, like, American weightlifting, like, they don't understand like what explosive power is and how it can.
But you see the Chinese jumping on all them plates. Okay, keep losing,
right?
But don't steal anything from them.
I know. I talked to a CrossFit owner that bought one a couple weeks ago, and he said box jumping is huge with Chinese. I said, yeah. I said, they're one of their testers is the kneeling jump squat to a max effort box jump. And he said, well, why? And I said, well, buddy, how many pulls are there?
Yeah, right.
He said, 2. I said, there's 2 jumps in that jump. I said, you watch Lu Zhongzhong. Lu Zhongzhong hit a kneeling box jump, or kneeling jump into a box jump. I think it was 63 inches. He's 5'3".
Yeah,
he's 5'3". He's jumping 1.5 feet above his head. I was like,
that motherfucker you want to squat like 700 for reps.
That's what I'm saying. I said, there's a correlation between these 2 things, and once we understand, I said, CrossFit is the future of us taking over Olympic weightlifting.
Yeah.
And I said, if you guys just adopt this box and adopt the training into it, it'll change everything. Not just for CrossFit. I mean, it'll help CrossFit out. It'll help CrossFit games. I said, but man, it will help. Like we're Titans, like we're in charge of Spartan Games, like we're a sponsor for Spartan Games. Like it would change that too. I mean, all those hybrid athlete games. But for me, like, my love is, like, I fully agree with like Louis philosophy. Like, I really want to see American weightlifting take over. And I think, like, to me, like, the box is one of the keys. That and them utilizing max effort.
Yeah.
They kind of stick. they kind of stay in dynamic effort and worry about technical form too much, in my opinion. But
Yeah.
if they work the other two speeds in there, then I think we have the athletes. We're way more athletic
and
than everybody else.
too, like they don't do enough single joint work. It's too much of just the damn barbell. And we have the money, like unlike the Chinese who have to wait probably 2 years to get a reverse hyper, they could get one. But maybe it's because it's attached to Louis, belt squats, all that type of stuff. I don't know. Like, it's because it's about who invented it, so they won't use it. But it's like,
you
bro,
want to know some shit? Yeah. You know that they have all of those.
You said what?
The Chinese have all of Westside's equipment.
I've seen reverse hypers in like the back. I'll be trying to search for it. I'll be like, wait.
No, they got it. They got the ATP. They got the ATP. And here's here's another interesting fact, right? Jamaicans are pretty damn fast, right?
Right. Yeah. Okay.
Westside donated $2.4 or $2.5 million of equipment to the Jamaican Olympic sprinting teams.
No.
Their equipment is distributed all throughout Jamaica. Glenn Mills and Coach Spry would come to Westside all the time, supposedly. And I literally donated.
Woo! I'm gonna start saying that shit all the time for these haters out here. I know he's talking about the Jamaicans running in grass, and I was like, there's something there. Yeah. He knows a little too inside secrets.
Sled sprinting.
But like, yeah.
Well, they were there all the time. I guess Glenn Mills and Spry, the strength coach, I guess they were going there all the time. And you can look up Coach Spry, and you can see he's got an ATP. He's got like,
I gotta look.
I mean, you're in the middle. You're in the middle of Jamaica, dude. You're like, how are these guys affording this? I didn't know. I forget where I read that he had donated $2.4 million of equipment to the Jamaicans. And
when was that he donated?
I'm not sure when it happened.
I would like to know that's before Bolt. Like if that was before Bolt, like broke out a record,
or was it, or did he help contribute to Bolt? That's what I'm saying. Like people didn't realize who or what that man really was, and all he cared about was human performance. Like, and that, like, I mean, the dude was
people making the same mistakes that a lot of people from his generation made. He's like, I'm trying to help people.
He's trying to excel past those, man, and like. He put a system from super training, he put it into play.
Yeah.
Whereas like super training is a great book, man, but
no
one had ever applied it. You know what I mean? Like it was like, oh shit, these are all great facts and theories, but it's like he took all of them and then tested them and then tried them out and then made a system out of it. It was like, oh shit. Yeah. But yeah, supposedly, dude, I don't know if it was pre-Bolt or not. And it makes you kind of think about it, though, right? Dude, was that man part of that whole legacy and continued legacy? And are those athletes still using that equipment that our people here won't adapt to and won't realize?
I'm about to go a deep dive into Coach Spry and Glenn Mills. I'm going to try to find out see if I can find something.
Do it.
This shit.
Yeah. Do it, brother. Do it. All right, man. Well, great talking to you, brother.
This was great. This was great.
I appreciate you, man. Yeah. Well, thanks. If there's anything else we can do or anything else we want to do it again or whatever, man, just let me know. I'm all about it. And we'll have to try and set it up this summer, man. I'm going to try and come down to I'm going to try and go to what's his name? I'm going to try to go to Overtime Athletics in Florida. And I want to go to Stevens' place in Georgia. You're in Georgia, yeah?
Yeah, I'm in Atlanta, so I'm probably like an hour. I think I'm like an hour away from where he is. I think he's in Athens, so it's like an hour and a half north of me.
He's in some place called Sewanee or something like that.
Yeah, that's not that far. That's not that
okay.
Far. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I would love to be able to swing in there and talk with your coach, man. Just break bread and show you if I can, if he wants me to, I'll bring it by and let him take a look at it. Or if he wants to come down to, maybe Steven wouldn't mind if he came down to his place or something.
Yeah, because he, trust me, he'll if he likes it, he'll buy it. He'll buy it within if it's like, oh, he goes up and goes, if he were to go up and go see it and be like, oh, okay, then how fast can you ship it to? Because it's always about when the bigger companies that we go from, it always takes, how long now do I have to wait for this shit? So it's like, hey, if I can get it quick.
the three purchases that happened. I had 3 purchases 3 days ago. They already have their boxes.
Ooh, shit. Okay.
So the 80 is usually less than a week.
Okay.
Sometimes with shipping right now, the 80, because it comes in one big box, but it will sometimes maybe like, I would say 2 weeks tops.
Mm-hmm.
But it's there as long as we
faster
got.
Than most stuff.
Oh yeah, no, we've got.
We're on months usually. We take months usually to get shipped.
Nah, not as long as we have it. As long as we have it in stock, like as soon as you order from Titan, they're going to overnight it.
Yeah.
Yeah, so they'll put it on, whatever they put it on, and it gets there quick as shit. That's why all the 3 guys that were hitting me up this morning were like, "Damn, we already got our box. We already put it together and already posted it on." I'm like, "Hell yeah!" And then had the 3 more that we got today, or 3 more that we got this morning, were watching their posts, and they were like, "Damn, that was that quick." I'm like, "You ain't gonna, yeah. As long as we got it, you ain't gonna wait. They'll get it to you like now. Like they wanted to you yesterday, so that you're happy and you post about it."
Yeah,
they really just Titan's been great, man. They just want people to enjoy strength conditioning and not have to pay out the butt for it. So, well, let me get it, man, before my wife kills me.
I feel you. All right, brother.
All right, brother. I'll catch up with you, man. I'll send you a text about the summer, and once I get out of school, I'll come down there.
Okay, cool.
Sound good?
Appreciate it. Yes, sir.
All right, brother.
Bye. Bye.
Bye.